again. Today is Wednesday, the 3rd of March, 2021. I posted that this morning, my update from day 1 or 2 of rehab. And I'm here to tell you the ending. Not the ending, it's actually the beginning. It's the beginning of my sober journey. Where to start, really. I think November last year, I've said it quite a lot, and I think I said it in my podcast more than on YouTube, but when I first became widowed, I joined Way, Widowed and Young, and I heard so many people saying that year 2 was tougher than year 1, and I just couldn't fathom it. I just couldn't understand how the pain could get any more intense than what I was feeling. So you go back through the motions and you're like, I can now see, I'm over 2 years widowed, I can now see that first year I was totally in shock and numb, and having been a controlled drinker, if you like, and always being very honest about it, as you guys know, if you go right back to the beginning of my weight loss journey, I was always drinking, but it was controlled, and I didn't have to drink every single night. But slowly over the 2 years, alcohol had become more than a crutch. I think the days that I tried to have off, tried to have dry days, didn't really plan out. And it was only November when I think I'd come off my antidepressants, probably without the help of a doctor, and didn't think it through properly. I just thought, I don't need these anymore because I'm okay. And in fact, coming off them was the worst thing I could do. And November came, it was my birthday, then Christmas was coming up, obviously, then it's all the anniversaries, how he went to sleep on this night, 8 days intensive care, and then he died on the 4th of January. So the lead up to that was horrendous. And I've always had some dark times, which everybody will have in grief. And, I remember reading back in the early days, Megan Devine's book, and she'd said, I think her words were, I'm not actively going to kill myself, but if a piano was to fall out of a large building above my head, I'm not going to move out of the way. And I totally resonated with that. I felt like that for 2 years, if I'm being honest. And when I got extremely drunk and I was alone and lonely and lost, I would find myself thinking of ways to end my life. And I'd wake up in the morning and think, that's not the place I want to be. That was the alcohol talking. That was what I now know was an addiction talking, because you think, well, I thought that wine was going to help me, and in fact all it did was heighten everything I was feeling. So I thought I was drinking to kind of push my grief aside and try and fill a void that was there, when in fact all it did was make me worse. And yeah, like I said, in the cold light of day, I don't want to die. I've got so much to live for, and Howie wouldn't want that for me either. So I had one night in November where I got really, really drunk. I knew I felt suicidal. And I think I'd mentioned it to a couple of people, and not really reaching out. I just happened to mention it, but I didn't realise how serious I was until I found myself very, very drunk and Googling how many pills do I need to die. And I think the best thing to come out of that, Google, internet, technology, was rather than Google giving me the answer, because I had plenty of stuff that I could have done it, it came up with the Samaritan's phone number and that I needed to call them. And it was midnight or so. So yeah, this was before Christmas, and I did ring the number, kind of even without thinking about it. It came up and it shocked me back into reality, where I phoned the number, and a really kind lady, I remember, she talked me off of a ledge, literally. I will forever be grateful for that person and for the Samaritans and anybody else out there that's willing to help people that are in the depths of despair and you can't see any way out, which is, it's not stupid. It's not, it's relevant and it's valid at that point for you. But obviously by the morning I kind of, shit, what did I do? And I looked at my phone, I thought, fuck, it did happen. I thought it was a bit of a dream, but I admitted it to my best friend Lou, who then told me I needed to get some more help, that the alcohol and me trying to coast in life wasn't working. So I was coming up to all those 2 years, and I'd had 6 weeks counselling initially through Cruise, which was helpful, but it was nowhere near long enough for the pain and the anguish that I was going through being widowed. So Lou gently pointed me in the direction. I've said since day one, I joked about it. It was almost many a true word said in jest that, if I carry on drinking the way I do, I'm going to end up in bloody rehab. Well, I did. I kind of talked myself into that one, and I've said it before, but I did find myself a really good counsellor, and she's wonderful, a lady in Newbury, and I had 4 weeks with her just after Christmas. And I also went to my doctor, and my doctor advised me to go to an NHS drug and alcohol place, which I know they must be super busy at this time. And I'm going to tell you something everybody knows. Lockdown has made it worse. Lockdown's made it worse for everybody. As a widow, I'm isolated, and suddenly give us COVID in the world, and I'm super fucking isolated and no reason not to drink. I had my motorhome to go away, and I had people to see, and suddenly that's not there. And all of those coping strategies that I had went out the window completely. The days were getting drawing in earlier, so my brain was telling me that's wine o'clock. And as much as I never got up in the morning and I drank, I was drinking sometimes from 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And at the height of before I went into rehab, I was downing 3 bottles of wine a night plus. And that's not necessarily bottles. I might have started with 2 gin and tonics. I might have finished with some tequila or a port or whatever was at hand, just to make myself black out and not feel anything. So I did that. The NHS drugs and alcohol place wasn't for me. Let's put it that way. They wanted me to join a Zoom. I did one, then they forgot about me, and then after Christmas I could feel I was getting worse and worse. The drinking was getting more and more. And then I tried to contact them again, and then they had another Zoom with them, and I just realised then it wasn't what I needed. So I took the decision to take myself off to a recovery program it was through UCAT, which is Addiction Treatment Centre in England, and they have lodges all over the place. So it's a private treatment centre. I had to do 7 days in Banbury, which, because of COVID, you have to go in and have your COVID test straight away to prove that you're free of COVID. And then you are in one room for 7 days. I had to do 7 days isolation, another test before I could then move lodges from Banbury to Guildford. And then I joined a lodge with, I think, 19, 20 people, other addicts from across the board. There's alcoholics, there's drug addicts of every sort. And they deal with food addictions. They deal with any addiction. Addiction is addiction. And I think that's pretty clear when you first get into treatment. I think I felt my first week in Banbury, I was just telling my friend Lisa this, was really, really tough, because I paid a lot of money to be in there, and I'm in a medical treatment, and they gave me a drug to help me withdraw from the alcohol. And, obviously my body was paying the price of the amount of alcohol I've consumed over 2 years, and I was shaky. I felt really rough. I looked really rough too. I mean, the picture they took of me that first day, I looked like I was being put in prison. And I struggled the first few days. I couldn't sleep, and shaking, sweating, all the normal kind of withdrawal things. But the Librium was helping me, obviously, with that. And then I got a headache, and my headache seemed to last for hours and hours every single day. And, maybe that's also my body saying, there you go, Jan. I didn't really suffer with hangovers when I was drinking, maybe because I was just topping up every single day. So I kind of thought, okay, this is my body's way of saying enough is enough anyway. So yeah, 1 week in isolation, met some really interesting people in there, and then people go off to different lodges. So I was really fortunate enough to meet a couple of people that were going to the same lodge as myself. So I had 2 people there waiting when I arrived. which was so lovely to see friendly, warm faces. And suddenly you've gone from isolation to group settings, and the structure was actually really, really good. And the therapy, it was intense, and it was fucking hard at times. I knew I'd run away from my grief. I knew that my drinking had blotted it out, and I knew I'd have to face those demons. So I did head on, and it was, tough at times. And there were a few hairy times where I really wanted to chuck in the towel and come home, but I didn't. I stuck it out for the first time in my life for 28 days, and I'm really glad that I did. You know, the people I've met, I've got some people I've met in there that will be my friends forever now. We not only had a tough time, we had an interesting time, and we had a bloody good laugh. You know, what would life be without laughter? It's a good tonic. And people, I love people, but I am me, and I can't help but say something if I see an injustice. So I've learned, the biggest thing to come out of rehab for me is I've learned so much about myself. You have to write your life story down, and you have to present it in front of your peers. And that was quite I didn't think it was daunting, to be honest. I wrote through, while I was in isolation, I wrote my life story. And I kind of talk about my life enough that I didn't think it would affect me too badly. But until I get to the end and I start to talk about Harry, and really that's the real reason I was there, because I haven't stopped drinking since my husband died. I haven't had a reason to stop drinking. So I came to the conclusion to take myself there. I've done this. I know a lot of other people get pressured by their family or whatever, and I'm just glad that I came to that conclusion at this time, because the people I've met in rehab have been drinking like that for 30 years, 25, 30 years, some of them, and you just kind of go, wow. And how much harder would that be for them? I mean, I learned early days that there is no competition with who's been drinking the most, the longest, or what is your choice of poison. An addict is an addict. And if you can't go a day without having your mind-altering substance, then you're addicted. So that became pretty clear instantly, because I felt like a fraud at first, because I've only been drinking like this for 2 years and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter where you come from, what you've got. If you're an addict, you're an addict. And you get treated the same in these treatment centres. And they dig things out of you, you're not sure how. And it was amazing. I talked about the God aspect of Alcoholics Anonymous before. And when I went into the Primrose Lodge, it's really evident that you need to have a higher power. You need to believe, and you need to be open to have a higher power, even if you don't have one. And nobody tells you what it has to be. Nobody tells you it has to be God or nature or this or that, just to have something that is bigger than you, because you can't stop drinking or doing drugs. So the belief that something is out there that can help you along your road to recovery is a massive factor in getting clean. And I think once you're open and you're willing to it, it kind of makes a lot of sense. And you know, I had to read, I didn't have to, but you know, every morning we did meditation, and they ask you to read some daily readings from certain books. It mentions God all the time. And where 4 weeks ago God, I found, was a really offensive word, I didn't in the end, because one of the therapists said, look, if you don't like God, then just think of it as God. It's a group of drunks, which really made me laugh. And then the second thing I heard was God can stand for good, orderly direction. And then last night on a Zoom, I heard somebody calling it the great outdoors. So, you know, there's loads of ways you can think of God per se without it being a supposed man up in the sky and all of this. So yeah, I think to just change my perception and be really open-minded has been good. I stayed true to myself, and throughout the whole time in there, even if that was really difficult at times, because I'm not the easiest person to be around. If somebody says something wrong, I tend to let them know, and I question myself a lot. But at the end of my rehab, 3 therapists sat in my little graduation and said some really nice, positive, kind things about me. And 3 weeks ago, I would have sat there thinking, they're bullshitting. They're just bullshitting, because I didn't have belief in myself. But actually, I've come out of there with yeah, belief in who I am and what I've got to do. And I've even just now, like, I've come out of rehab, and what I need to do to stay clean, I need to attend meetings. I need to go to these, whether it's on Zoom or face to face, and keep it relevant, not to take my foot off the pedal, and to just, hear people's stories, hear about them relapsing and how bad it is when you've relapsed and you've got to start back from the beginning, in the hope that I'm never going to go there. And like I said, I've got enough stories under my belt at the moment to think I'm not going anywhere near there. So I came out of rehab yesterday morning. I went to see my granddaughters. My cat's really happy to have me home, apart from she did jump on me at 4 o'clock this morning, but I don't mind. It's been a month. So, and yeah, I'm all right. I'm actually all right. I don't feel nervous. I don't feel scared. I've been shopping. I've walked past the aisles, the alcohol aisles, and I haven't even cleared the gym bar yet. That's got to go. But there's nothing there at the moment that's calling me there. And I'm not blinkered into thinking that this is going to be an easy journey by all means. I am going to take this every day as it comes. But I'm prepared for it. I kind of get it. And I'm going to go to these meetings, and I'm going to find myself a sponsor, and I will be able to then move forward with my life with intent rather than just surviving by the skin of my teeth. So that's what I do. Really chuffed. I got up this morning. I went out and did a 17-mile bike ride. So I'm back on that kind of thing. The food in Primrose Lodge was just delicious, and so much of it, I was sure that I'd gained a stone, and I was really happy to get on the scales last night. It was only half a pound. So without alcohol now, eating healthy, getting back on my bike and walking, I'm hoping to shed a few more pounds, because obviously wine is quite sugary, right? I've replaced my wine with millions of different fruit teas, and I'm really enjoying them. So yeah, I just thought I'd update you a little bit more since that one from this morning, and let's hope I can stay on this, the vlogging again and get back into it now. I'm feeling a lot better in myself. So I'm not fixed. I'm not perfect. I'm never going to be, but I'm me again. And yeah, I'm quite excited about the future. So that's a massive step forward to me. I would just like to say thank you to everybody that supported me. You know who you are. I wouldn't be here now without gentle pushes from my closest friends and telling me what I need, even if they thought I bit their fucking head off, but I wouldn't have done, because I knew it. I just needed that gentle push. So yeah, there's people out there that have been rooting for me, and I really, really, really appreciate that. I don't think anybody knows how much. And one of the biggest lessons in rehab I've learned, I need to reach out. I need to learn to say I'm not okay and I need help, rather than burying my head in the sand and just coasting, because coasting's not healthy and coasting's not good. I need to live life and grab it by the bollocks. So that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, lovely to get back on here. And again, thank you for all your messages and of support. And I hope to update you again soon from a very sober Jan. Bye for now.